the live doesn't record even though it's saying that it's recording. So let's just give it like 30 seconds or something like that. Um,
Okay.
just a moment. Let me get my questions ready. This one, oh, whoops. This one, how do you do? Just a few seconds. Have these, okay. And this one. Okay. All right, let's begin. We're live. Laura, thank you for being. Oh, sorry, you're lagging a bit. This is strange. Can you hear me? Sorry, your connection is lagging. I can hear you fine. It's just like you're like cutting, like your video is cutting. I don't know what's going on. Okay, this it's working now. It's working fine
Oh,
now.
okay.
All right, all right.
Okay.
So, Laura, thank you very much for being with me. Laura is a targeted individual, much like myself and much like all the listeners, all of the subscribers of my channel. Laura has been very vocal about her experience with gang stalking on TikTok. And I saw one of her videos. I decided to message her in order to get her story out there, in order to have her share her story on my platform. Laura was very kind and gracious to accept. So I'm very grateful for her. I always say I have a lot of admiration for people who speak up about the experience that they go through within gang stalking, because this is a very this is an experience that is very that can be very humiliating, and there's a lot of shame around being gang stalked. They try to put shame on us to silence us because a silent target is a perfect target. Laura said, "Not me. I'm not doing it." She's speaking up, and I very much admire that. I look up to people who go through the things I go through and decide I'm going to speak up. So, Laura, thank you very much for blessing us with your presence and for sharing your experience with us.
Thank you so much for having me on your platform, Kevin. I appreciate it.
Thank you, thank you. So, the first question I always start with is, Laura, when did you first start noticing that strange things were happening in your life?
So I would say when I went, because I actually got kicked out. So I got kicked out in 2023 by my adoptive mother.
Oh,
And there was weird things going on with my finances. But to cut the story kind of short, I actually ended up going to different people's houses, and one of them being her sister's, which I ended up running away from there. Like I had to leave quickly because there was weird things. Like it was feeling weird. So then I ended up going to this girl's house, and she started saying funny things like when I used to get back in, like, "I'm surprised you made it back." I was like, "What?" So I've left there, gone to another place which wasn't too far, my old area where I was born up, raised in, which is Walthamstow. And from there, there was a lot of weird things that did start happening. Like, for example, I would come outside and people are talking about situations that occurred in the house. So one of them being like the way I used to cook, because I'm not too good at baking, right? And I knew that my mixture wasn't correct. And there was people saying, having a laugh, like, "Oh, if I'm baking the cake, I'm not going to use this ingredient and that ingredient. I'm only going to use certain things." But to my surprise, I just thought, you know what? The place I was staying at wasn't actually it was basically an Airbnb. So I thought maybe, they could hear me saying certain things, whatnot. Um, but where things started to take a toll on me, it would have been when I actually left that place and I went to, well, I was homeless basically. Because I was living out of like hotels and stuff. And there was a lot of people, random people. There was a lot of weird things happening and stuff like that. So yeah.
such as?
A lot of people would. It's not. I wouldn't say bullying, but for example, like let's say I would book a hotel, right? I normally would have to wait for a room, and normally, like if before this, I would just book a hotel. I'll be able to go straight into the room. I would wait outside the hotel for like not wait outside, but I would be waiting in the lobby area, and people would be like constantly walking past me, saying mean things, laughing at me. For example, honestly, I haven't got anyone since being kicked out. I don't have any like supportive people in that sense. Like, I haven't got family like that. But people would like try. I don't think they'll be like sarcastic. For example, like they will have their family. They'll be around their family, and it's like they're mocking me. Like they're showing me that you haven't got what we've got, even though deep down within I know who I am. If that makes sense.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was many different scenarios. Honestly, I tried to not think too deep about them because it does take a toll on your mental for sure. It does. So a lot of the stuff that did occur, I didn't recognize them. Oh, I didn't hold on to them. But if I'm going back to where this all really stemmed from, I would say it stemmed from my adoptive family. I realized that they were in I realized that they were in like this like cult, if that makes sense, where they would um they would basically when it comes to like certain people like myself, they would basically
Just a just a second. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Laura. Your video and audio is cutting a little bit again. Yeah, it's lagging a little bit.
yeah, this is why, because it's yeah, it's
I,
it's a deep conversation this one is.
okay, now it's fixed. Now it's
Can you
fixed.
hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so basically, right, I've had family members who I've really cared about, such as my late father, who passed away. And that was due to the bullying and harassment that they placed on their life. Because it's not just one person they were able to um take out.
You're talking about your adopted
Um
family.
there was many Yeah, there's many other people, but I'm saying it's people that I've been around. This is how I started to notice it. Because my late father, who I really loved, he was very supportive. Whereas those lot, they faked the support. They acted as if they were like for me and with me, and they agreed with everything. They came to like school plays and stuff like that. They always wanted to make it seem as if they were there for me, when the whole time they caused me to spiral out. Like they never helped my mental health. They never helped me to get anywhere in life. I had to watch everyone else get support and help in different things. Whereas for myself, I had to work out how to do things all on my own, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
They played a part just so society looks at them as if they're good people. And this is what a lot of people do. They make it seem as if like they're good, they're nice, they're these people that are helpful, but deep down inside, they suck the living life out of you. And one of those people was my father. And I realized that in 2022. This is when things started to take a toll for me, but I didn't realize why that was happening, if that makes sense.
Mhm. Yeah.
So yeah, and just to add on, for me, it always happens to people that are really loving and caring and empathetic. And I was naturally one of those people. I had her niece tell me, "Oh, you're such a loving person. You're such this," always highlighting the good aspects about me. But I thought at the time it was because she cared, only to realize that these were the parts that they used against me to make me feel as if like it's something that I need to keep doing. Keep giving all your time and energy. Keep, putting people before you. Keep being someone that doesn't have a sense of worth. If that makes sense.
100%.
So yeah. So and I started recognizing these things in other people that I genuinely love. So there was a few people that I had around me. I can name all of them, but I'm not going to do so. I'm not going to do that. But one of them, like I said, was my father. He was a big supporter, and they realized that. And unfortunately, he was um, diabetic, but also in his earlier years, he was smoking, partying, doing certain things. And a lot of people don't realize that when you're indulging in things that cause you to have a lower level of consciousness,
Hmm.
you are actually susceptible to being attacked. I think that's the correct terminology, but you are more likely to be attacked because these are the things they need you to do so that they can, um, break your spirit, basically, break your energy, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah.
First of all, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for answering this question so openly. Um, uh, I do believe that there was one thing that I wanted to get sort of more information on. You said that your adoptive family was sort of a cult. Now, were they actually part of an organized religion? And if so, what was it?
Okay, so growing up, I was Catholic. Then obviously later on, they ended up my dad's brother ended up marrying this woman because basically it started with my brother, well, my adopted brother, but his name was Clive, right? He ended up finding this lady in Jamaica called she was called whatever she was called, right? And they ended up she had a friend who ended up marrying my brother, my dad's brother, right? From there they introduced them to this church, right? That they still go to till this day, and that church is a Pentecostal church. Now, at the time of me going, I was actually very excited and happy, and I was very like driven to do the right thing. Until one day, this lady, my adopted mother, told me not to get baptized, but only to find out it was because she didn't want me to get baptized before her, right? Um, further down the line now, I'm starting to realize that this church isn't actually what they say they are. So they perform, or maybe I'm incorrect. Maybe it's just how the family are because I had a cousin who told me what they actually were doing when I was at that friend's house that I first initially ran away from, and I went into the place in Walthamstow. So that's how I actually realized they were in a cult. But
I'm sorry.
from my understanding of what,
Sorry, you were lagging, but you are no longer. I'm sorry. Just go back to what we were saying. Sorry.
so I had a cousin. He told me when I was at this girl's house because I ended up staying at this girl's house who I've known from primary school, right? He told me like a deep secret that I don't think I was meant to know because there was a lot of weird things going on in 2023, 2022 to 2023. There was a lot of weird stuff, and it wasn't just my adoptive mother. She has so I had a cousin that I grew with as well. There was a lot of weird things that happened as a child between me and him, but he also took the opportunity to um, make a mock out of me when it came to music because I'm someone who likes to do music. And during the time I was explaining to that cousin that there was weird things going on, and he blasted out about what they used to do back in the day in order to keep things flowing for them. So them going to that church, I feel like personally, I shouldn't accuse the church of not being real. I should really just stick with what I said, and I believe that they're a cult because of the behaviors that they displayed. There's certain things that they do continuously, and only someone like myself, who luckily right wasn't taken out, if that's the correct terminology, has been able to see. Because normally when people get to this part, they're no longer here. They're not able to tell their story. And that's what they do. They do that to a lot of people. A lot of people.
Right, right. Well, I do believe that there is a very cultish aspect to the whole experience of gang stalking. Someone
Mm,
yesterday in the chat told me that made a reference to the zombie apocalypse, and it does feel that way. The way that I describe it personally is that it feels to me the way that it feels like I woke up in a different dimension or in a different sort of universe. It feels like I woke up in the Twilight Zone. Like how is this possible? How is it that people who claimed to love me, people I grew up with, people that were my friends, people that
yes.
would have done anything for me, people that have done
Yes.
great things for me in the past, people that I would have done anything for are now
Yes.
participating in an organized effort for my
Yes.
downfall. So
Yes.
it does feel
Organized effort.
very exactly an organized effort. It does feel very Twilight Zone-ish. Like, how is this possible? However,
Yes.
I do think that the first time I ever learned about narcissism was my first awakening for myself, and it basically
Yes.
I'd say that it took off the rose-colored shades off of my eyes, where I could
Yes.
sort of see the world as, oh, not everybody is good, because used to think that
Yes.
if everyone is given the support and love and care that they need, they will be good. And then when I found out about narcissism and I realized, no, there's evil people in this world, It's really shocked me and it changed me. I wouldn't say for the worse, but it changed me a lot. But when I found out about gang stalking and the reality of gang stalking, my God,
Yeah.
you know, it didn't take off the rose-colored shades off of me. It completely removed any color from everything I see. Is the way that I
Yeah.
could say. Give me just
Can I
one
just
second.
add quickly? Okay. Okay.
So people are saying that they hear a click on my phone, or they hear a click in the audio. Is it true? You guys are hearing a click? Please keep in mind what you're about to say, and everything will be edited. Don't
Yes.
worry about it. But don't forget what you're about to say.
Okay.
I just want to see if people
Okay.
are saying that there's a click. I just want the audio to be good. And whenever your video starts lagging, I let you know as well. But all
Yeah.
all of this will be edited. So lead follower says that she can hear a click in the audio. Anybody else can hear it, or is it just lead follower? I want to make sure that this audio is really good, that there's no issues. Anyone else? Anyone else? I don't see anybody talking about a click in the audio beside lead follower. I'm not getting answers. Do you hear anything, Laura?
No, no, I don't hear anything personally. But maybe it's my
The audio is
nails.
good.
Are you sure it's not these?
Possibly,
Sorry. It might be my nails because I keep
possibly.
flicking. Yeah, sorry, I
I,
keep I'm very fidgety.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm only hearing lead followers say that there is a click. I'm not getting any comments from anyone else. So it could be just
Maybe it's
on
my
on her
nails.
side, especially if you're not hearing anything. I would say that it might be just on her side because, anyways, what were you going to say, Laura?
Sorry, what did you say?
What were you going to say? You were going to say
Oh
something.
yeah, so I just wanted to add to your to what you were saying about, for me, so the narcissism was one part of it that I kind of latched onto early on because I was in a toxic relationship with this guy, right? But not only that, for me, I used to believe that if you go to church, you are 100% a positive person, and you don't deal with whatever the dark side. You know what I'm trying to say? That's what I used to think
Absolutely.
personally. Yeah, that's it though. That's all I want to say. Add on.
No,
Yeah.
I agree. I think a lot of us who are going through this had a very sort of very childish way of viewing the world, maybe. Childish is not the way I want the
No,
word I
but
want to
but
use.
but no, but do you know what it is? What people don't understand is, right, childish is perfect. We're meant to be childlike.
Yes.
Since coming here, we change. That's what causes us to forget our path and where we're meant to go. We're meant to be childlike. There's absolutely
Mhm.
nothing wrong with it. But because of scenarios and situations that we've gone through, this is what, alters our reality, basically.
No, I agree. I personally I am Christian, and in the Bible it says that Jesus wants you to be childlike. He wants you to retain your innocence, and I believe that this is one of the ways that many of the targeted individuals who are going through this were before our experiences, before we met with evil, before
Yeah,
our surroundings, the people in our support groups, in our friend groups, in our families, our workplaces,
yeah.
before they were affected with this evil that seems to be controlling them. I'm not saying that that's what it is. I'm not saying that there's evil spirits or anything like that. I'm simply
Hmm.
saying that's what it feels like. It truly feels like this is impossible. The only way that this could happen in such an organized fashion is these people are possessed. That's how it feels like.
Yeah.
So the second question I wanted to ask you is, without naming any names, do you have any idea who exactly puts you on the watch list?
Yes, so I was just thinking about this and I thought, oh my God, I forgot to add this part in. So this is something I actually pieced together the other day. I had an ex, just like I was saying, who I was with for like 5 years on and off, but the bond with him was very strong. He was or lived with narcissism, if that's how you say it, and he suffered from bipolar. But it only came to my conclusion the other day that due to me not wanting to be with him, he has caused people to gang stalk me, and it makes so much sense because obviously, like, and if it is a thing where my family and him are working together, it makes even more sense because I remember there was a time when I used to have to call the police a lot because it was very um there was a lot of domestic violence, whether it's mentally, emotionally, physically. There was a lot of that going on. So I would call the police a lot. And I felt like at the time when I was doing it, my adoptive mother was very happy for that to be taking place. When I was in a different predicament where things were going right, she wasn't so happy. Like when he was buying me roses or he was doing things that a man should be doing, she wasn't happy. But when it came to the police being called and things like that, she didn't actually care. And it only came to my conclusion the other day that do you know what? He's the one he's done all of this, and he keeps doing it till this day. Like he keeps doing it. So he would be the main culprit. He would be of all people, I would say. So
Okay,
yeah.
okay. I'm sorry, your video is lagging a bit, I believe.
Oh, sorry.
Just give me 1 second.
It's
I'll be
always
right
when we're
with you.
talking
Just
about yeah. Okay,
sorry about that. Sorry, my apologies.
that's okay.
But it's fixed now. But it seems to be, anytime that you start to talk about things that are serious, that your video is lagging. But it's fine now. I
Constantly,
would
it's a sign. Mm-hmm.
To answer to what you just said, I would say that in my case, I have been in a relationship that was abusive. It wasn't physically abusive until the end. At the end, it did become physically abusive, and that's why I left.
Mm-hmm.
However, a lot of people tell me that they think it's her, but I always say, you know, yes, it started when I met her. However, I know exactly who put me into this, and it's a law enforcement officer in the United States of America that I
Mm.
encountered on a forum online. It's like a dog forum. It's a really dumb experience. I remember that this person would always write in caps and constantly be making threats at pretty much everybody. And then I remember at one point I was in the
Oh.
chat room and someone came in the chat room and was saying something to the effect of, you guys are messing with my life. This is serious. You guys are stalking me, things of that nature. And of course, this is a good 19 years back. I didn't understand what he was talking about. I was thinking to myself, these people are in different states. How could it be that these people are ruining his life from a different state? What is he talking about? I don't get it. Lo and behold,
Mm-hmm.
here I am in the same situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I did go through an abusive relationship, and I do believe that she participated in some ways at the end of a relationship in my whole gang stalking experience. However, I don't think that she was quite aware of the extent to which she participated in it, and I don't think she ever
Yeah.
she ever will, unfortunately. But I would say
Yeah.
that though this is not a person that I would consider a good person, I don't think that she put me on the list. But for the people I've interviewed, a lot of them say that this came from their divorce, this came from a breakup, this came from a person that
Yes.
had interest in
Yeah.
them that they had no interest in. So it is very common for people to
Yes.
do that. And for the most part, what I have heard as well is that it usually is people who they were dating that are law enforcement or military even. So it is a
Or
pretty
they're part
common
of
thing.
they're or sorry to cut you, all
No.
part of what we were talking about, organized the organized side of things as well. That's another thing where it would come from because you wouldn't know if they're part of those things. You know what I mean? It's only after these things start occurring then you're like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So yeah,
Absolutely. Even in the UK
you're
where
correct.
you are, it has just been made. There was a new law that passed where every law enforcement officer must um, uh, disclose their status as a Freemason if they are a Freemason. I don't know if you saw that, but every law
Oh,
officer must disclose whether or not they are a Freemason. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, the obvious thing here is if you believe that Freemasons or Freemason law enforcement agents can be problematic, or are so problematic that they need to disclose their status within this secret society, perhaps you shouldn't accept them at all. Perhaps anyone who's a law enforcement officer should also not be a inside of a secret society, since it has become such an issue that you passed a law where they must disclose.
Yes, and you know what else as well? I think it's very funny that they have the understanding that these people are working, but they still allow it. And the thing is, these
Yes.
people are part of like, I don't know if I can like if this is the right word to use, but they're part of the matrix. Like like for example, people will constantly, bother me. Like where I'm staying right now, people they purposely have people coming out my outside the window. The other day, a little child called me bum. They're stopping me from making money, yet I'm the bum, even though I'm trying to
Yeah.
find other ways to make money, right? They had a little child come outside my window and say it. Just just before we started, there was people making loads of noise. They do things all the time. I live on top of a gym, unfortunately. Hopefully, I can move soon in it. But they constantly bang and do certain things. And my thing is like they're all part of this thing that we're talking about, the gang stalking. But as soon as you retaliate, right? As soon as you do anything, like let's say you lose your temper or you're not able to manage it as well, you're gonna get arrested
Reactive
because
abuse.
they're waiting on you to mess up. They're literally waiting on you. That's what they're relying on. They're literally relying on you going crazy and then causing a tower moment. That's what they want. So those people that are part of this, they're there purposefully because they have some sort of intelligence. They've got more information than the average police officers have. So when it comes to dealing with certain crimes, if you're not aware, then you're going to get in trouble. That's why I don't even want to, you know what? I don't want to bring that part, but in your country in itself, I've seen a lot of things that shouldn't have happened. And it's like all it took was a conversation. But I'm guessing because they're part of that organization, you know, that's why.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is true. One thing that you mentioned, which relates to narcissistic personality disorder or narcissism itself, is it's the whole gotcha game. And this is why I I'm sometimes grateful for the relationship that I had with a narcissist because it pushed me to study narcissism. And because
Hmm.
I studied narcissism and I understand it so well, I mean, there is not a single subject I could speak to you in more detail than narcissism, right? But
Hmm.
because I understand narcissism so well, the
Yeah.
whole aspect of the gang stalking abuse, I've realized that this is just narcissistic abuse. That's all it is. The organized harassment is narcissistic abuse, organized, orchestrated by many different people.
Yeah.
They'll use the term in the gang stalking world. They'll use the term perps, agents, things of that nature. In the
Yeah.
narcissism world, we say flying
Yeah.
monkeys. They send people to abuse you in order
Yes.
to make
Yes.
you act
Yes.
out so that they can point the finger at you and say,
Yes.
see, you're the problem, you're the
Yes.
issue. And
Yes.
another thing
Yes.
that they do, which is what you just mentioned, is that not only do they try to poke and provoke you to get you to commit to reactive abuse, right? The whole gotcha game, as it is
Yeah.
called in a
Excuse
narcissism
me.
world.
Sorry.
The other
Hmm.
thing that they do is they will sabotage you. They will sabotage your life.
Yes.
They will,
Yes.
stop you from sleeping. They will stop you from getting jobs. They will do anything to cause stress, distress, and anxiety, and just failure in your life, and then they'll make fun of you for it. They'll shame you for the things
Yes.
that they have
Yes.
created in your life as if they hadn't created it in your life, just because they need to create this reality that reflects what is in their mind, which is I'm
Yes.
not the problem, you're the problem. But
Yes. And
how can I convince myself and
yes.
others? But really, they're only convincing others to convince themselves. But how can I convince myself of that being true? I will create your downfall. And after I create your downfall, I will point the finger at you and make fun of you, shame you for what is happening to you. And then I will provoke you so that you actually start acting like the person that I envision in my mind so that I can confirm what I said about you is true.
Yes, and 9 times out of 10, it's mental health that they go after. But, yeah, it's
Absolutely.
your mental health that they go after, and it's unfortunate because, there's a lot of people that don't realize that, yeah, so with going back to what you were saying about the narcissism, it's good that there's people like me and yourself who actually grew with people who do these things to us because if you don't grow in a certain environment, then when it does occur to you, or when it happens to you, you are left questioning a lot of things. And I feel like for me, I'm so grateful that I wasn't able to fall for those tricks. And I'm so grateful also that I actually cut down smoking the czar. and drinking and things like that, because I'm starting to really have a good understanding that all of these things that they put out in the world for us is to ruin our mind. And this is, if you as if you are being targeted and you continuously indulge in these things, you are going to be, not to say held accountable, but they're going to make sure that that's how how your downfall starts. For example, if you're smoking the czar, right, you're going to start feeling paranoid. And that was one of the things that I started feeling like they kept doing weird things. Like there was like sounds that kept happening, not here, but when I was at another place. That's why I had to move. The other place was it was much nicer than here, but I moved because there was weird things going on, and I couldn't fathom, right? Why would you want to continuously cause someone's mental health to be
deteriorate.
depleted? Yeah, when it's like at the end of the day, I understand. Okay, fair enough. You're gonna constantly say nasty words. You're gonna constantly follow, but for you to actually be in the person's home as well and doing certain things to attack them, it's too much. It really is, and it's sad and
Evil.
it's unfortunate. Yeah, it really is. It is.
100%.
But
I think that
yeah,
one thing about me and you, where we went through narcissistic abuse, I think that the difference between you and I and other people who have gone through narcissistic abuse is that we actually realized what was going on and we studied it, so we understand it. But there are a lot of people who went through it or who are still going through it and they don't understand. And this is why I started my channel in the first place, is so people who are going through narcissistic abuse, people who are going through gang stalking now, but at first it
yeah,
was narcissistic abuse only. I ran this page for 5 years, only speaking of narcissism. It was so that they could realize, look, you are in a situation that you need to get out of. This is not going to get
yes,
better, no matter how much you want
yeah,
it to get better, no matter how much effort you put in, no matter how much you set yourself on fire to keep these people warm. It will never be
yeah,
good enough. Get out, focus on yourself. There are
yeah,
people out there who will appreciate every single effort you do, and they will appreciate everything about you, and they will treat you with respect at all times as you deserve to be treated. And this is why I started the page. And I think that the greatest blessing in my life, I would not say is the narcissistic abuse, but it's where it led me. The narcissistic abuse,
yes,
if you go
yes,
through enough of it,
yes,
it will lead
yes,
you to adopt
yeah,
self-love as a defense mechanism.
yeah. Yeah, and you know what? I actually built a lot of courage on. To be fair, I built a lot of confidence on that because even before I wasn't posting online. To be fair, I only really started posting when it came to what I was going through, and it just one day it just clicked. I was like, no, I'm not gonna go through this anymore. I'm not gonna sit here allowing these people to constantly bully me in secret. I was like, no, today's the day. Today's the day I stand up and I speak, and that's why one of my first videos, well, one of the only videos I'll say that really blew up. I looked a mess. I was going through it. I was like, no, I'm tired. I literally went outside in just jogging bottoms, my jumper. I was like, this is it. This is my moment to just make loads of videos. Even though my internet, every time I kept uploading, it got stuck. It wasn't working. I had people coming from different sides, crossing me, trying to, yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot, but I'm so grateful because honestly, right now, I feel like even with what you're doing yourself, like allow me to speak on your platform and for us to both be able to come together and have full understanding of what this is. It's amazing because there's going to be so much more people, and there was many people in my comments saying, "Oh my God, I've gone through this. I didn't know what it was at the time." Like just to be able to bring awareness for other people as well. I think I'm just grateful in it. I'm very grateful. I am. Because yeah, yeah.
100%. It's
And
it's
can I
it's
just
a blessing. It's God's work.
and I just wanted to also say, obviously the sleep deprivation thing is real. Right now,
Yeah.
currently in my situation, I'm actually going through that where it's like at nighttime I can't sleep. But I don't use it as a negative. I see it as a positive. And what I do with it is I feel like between the hours of 3 or like, yeah, 3 to 5 is my most creative hours. And that is when all the best ideas come into my mind. So every opportunity that they use to come against me, if you are if you if I don't know, no, I don't want to say it in a rude way, but I'm just going to say that if you allow yourself to get to your higher level consciousness, you won't allow it to affect you in the way that they want, and you're going to take pages from their book and be able to use it in the way that you know it should have been used in the first place. Yeah. So
100%. 100%. So the next question I want to ask, and this is a very important one, is Could you, in your words, explain what gang stalking is, and also tell us what gang stalking tactics, what gang stalk or what organized harassment tactics have been used against you?
Sorry, can you just repeat that again? I'm so sorry. It lagged.
So, no, no problem, no problem. So, could you, in your words, explain what gang stalking is, and also explain what gang stalking tactics or organized harassment tactics have been used against you?
So for me, gang stalking is when they choose to come after a specific individual, specific people that have this, amazing energy about themselves that constantly go through life as if, it's not gonna I don't know how to explain it, but I would just say that it's people that have this empathetic energy that don't allow things to take them down. And when people see that you're strong, within yourself, they will come after you. Also, it happens to people that normally don't have anyone around. So like myself, as soon as I got out, that is when it started happening to me. And they see that as vulnerability and they see that as the perfect time to, single you out and attack you basically. One of the tactics I would say that they used was, um, I
I
would
think
say,
you were
I don't know
speaking of
what to,
directed conversation.
yeah, direct conversation is one of them, but I would say it's all to do with my mental because they knew that I was smoking the czar. So, like I said, that will cause you to like they wanted me to be paranoid. So they'll do weird things like there'll be certain things that you couldn't say to anyone else or you couldn't explain it to anyone else. Only you yourself who's seeing it. Do you know what? The perfect one would be, for example, like me going into certain places and not only just the conversation, the directed conversation, it would just be um constant it's like walking past you, but it's like people are letting like for example if I'm really angry, right, if I'm feeling really angry, right, and I want to let my anger out, 9 times out of 10 you're going to talk to the other person, a bit horrible. You're going to be like, oh, shut up, this and that, whatever, right, and you're going to express it to them without your knowledge. You've just Without their knowledge, you've just let off all your anger and emotion towards that person, so now they are carrying that trait, right? And I agree with a lot of that. I agree with people expressing the anger and energy towards me without me even realizing it. Because I'm an empath, I'm just thinking, oh, how can I make things better for you? Now, I've been in environments where, yes, they've had direct conversation where they're constantly talking about things that I have gone through or I'm doing at the time. But they're also walking past me, letting off their emotion or hoping if someone has a broken arm, they're walking past me with with an intention to transfer that energy because everything is energy. That's how everything works in this world. So that is something that I've experienced so much. They're always trying to steal energy from me and always trying to push their negative energy onto me. Those are the main things. And sometimes I'll be honest with you, I've actually, well, before when I wasn't so clued on, it used to really affect my mental health. Like to the point where I felt like I was going crazy. Like, do you know what I mean? It does happen. And every once in a while, I feel like if you are not, you know, cleansing yourself or making sure that you get your thoughts and everything that's going on out some way, like you have to express it. This is why TikTok is a good place as well because you're able to just let go of a lot of emotion. But if you don't have anywhere to let these things
An
out,
outlet.
you will, yeah, you will lose, your mental health. You will,
100%,
essentially.
100%. I totally understand what you're
Yeah.
saying. I would simply ask, do you think, could you tell me, like, for example, the certain gang stalking tactics would be, of course,
Yeah.
directed conversation, being spied on through your electronics, your
Oh,
phone.
yes, yes, yes. Yeah, so the phone thing is actually another serious thing. Thank you for that. You're just gonna have to like hit on points and I can
I
elaborate on
got
them
you. I
because a
got
lot
you.
of these things I've just shoved them to the side. The phone thing is another thing. So I had an iPhone 13, right? This was when I was homeless, right? And but just before I came out of that stage. And I started realizing every time I've gone on my phone to say, okay, I'm gonna go here, people were already there. So, like for example, if I'm booking a hotel, like many people are already at the hotel. If I said I'm gonna go to the chicken shop, many people are already at the chicken shop. And I'm thinking, why is all these people that didn't I don't even know you from anywhere. Why is every single person here? Or for example, money, yeah, for example, money, right? I would know that okay, I'm gonna be making a certain amount today, right? All of a sudden, that person that I'm gonna be making the money from, they're nowhere to be seen, they're nowhere to be heard. They no longer have the ability, or they no longer have the funds to be able to give me the money that I was reaching out for in the first place. And I was like, how does this make sense? Every time I need something, every time I want to go somewhere, every time I'm on my phone, somehow they know straight away that I'm here, or I'm doing certain things, or I need this. So I actually ended up selling my iPhone. I sold my iPhone 13, and it did get better. But I do think they tap into my phone every once in a while because, like I said, even today when I was getting ready for the interview, there was someone outside talking about, oh, I need to quickly get ready and do X, Y, and Z. And I'm thinking, how do you know? Because I'm thinking in this room I'm in, there's only one thing that could be a camera, which is that thing. And I'm like, if it's not that, then you lot have definitely tapped into my phone again, which I find really weird. So yeah,
Well, when it comes to secret intelligence agencies, which I do believe are behind this, they always have access to every single phone.
yes,
I don't know if you've seen the documentary Citizen 4 by Edward Snowden, where he simply let us know in no uncertain terms, the NSA has access to every single phone, every single electronic, and
yes,
it's not just that they can listen to you and they can
hmm,
spy on you. They are, and not
yes,
only are they
yes,
watching you at all times, it's not them watching you. It's a whole system that is recording everything
yes.
you do, and everything is being
Oh,
sorted into categories where
yes,
for example, he was saying that it's a danger to society because even if you are completely innocent of any wrongdoing, once you're
yes,
targeted, once you are being investigated or targeted, or you end up on some kind of list, they can create a profile of some kind of criminal activity from all the information they've gathered on you. So it doesn't matter if you're
yes,
completely free of any
yeah,
wrongdoing; they can put
yes.
it on you by using everything they've gathered on you
And
through your private life.
you know what's so weird? Which when I was in the hotel, I started realizing that this is gonna sound crazy, and a lot of people might not know where I'm coming from or what I'm talking about. But honestly, when you go to certain places like Airbnbs, when people tell you there's cameras in there, there's really cameras in there because there's a lot. When I was in that Airbnb doing my thing, doing whatever, there was constant repetitive conversations that I would have with myself, or if I'm on the phone talking to someone. And not only that, when I went to the hotel when I was homeless, right, there was stuff on the TV that I did to someone that they repeating to me. So I'm watching them talk about my life in the TV. And I know this sounds bizarre, but honestly, that was what was happening. And if you went online and told anyone about that, honestly, the first thing they're going to say to you, psychosis. You're not well. You're
Yeah,
making it up. Honestly, this is really weird. So you saying the CIA thing and them gathering information, that's the truth. They do. They gather a lot of
yeah,
information about you and then use it against you, whether it's online, whether it's when you're watching TV. I don't even watch TV, but when I was in a hotel, I didn't have a choice. There was nothing else for me to use. But honestly, even our ads, right? It makes sense because even the ads that come up on our phones and stuff, a lot of people be wondering, how is it that I just spoke about, wanting to buy a new lip gloss, and all of a sudden that lip gloss is on my ad because they're listening to us, just like you said, 100%. And
yeah,
they feed us what
100%.
we want to hear or what they know
Yeah,
about us. Yes,
absolutely.
that's correct.
I would say that there are two things that will for sure let you know whether or not you're being gangsta off. The first one I always say is people hate you and you don't know why.
Oh,
You can't understand why. People that were your friends for years, people that were your
mate.
family, co-workers, strangers, people hate you
Yeah,
and you don't know why. And I will
yes,
say, when someone hates you, usually when someone hates you, you have a very good understanding of why that might be, or you know exactly why. Like for example, the reason why people hate me now, if they're not gang stalking me, is because I speak the truth and I will call you out on BS behavior, right? And
yes,
I know that
yes,
for a lot of people, they don't
yeah,
like that. They don't like to be called out. They
yes,
they enjoy people sort of catering to their
yes,
narcissism, and I can't do it. I'm sorry, I'm awake and I
yes,
can't go back to
same,
sleep, right? But the
same.
the other
Hmm.
thing that is extremely common, and I would say is the most common technique that is used with gang stalking, and the reason, and I think the reason why it's being used is because whenever you explain it to people, it makes you look crazy, it makes you look strange, or people will just dismiss it as coincidence, is the directed conversation. You do something at home,
Oh,
you talk about something at home, you go out into the world, and people start to make allusions, whether it be in conversations with you or amongst themselves within your earshot. I've had
yeah,
coworkers who their desks are at the opposite end of the office, and they'll
yeah,
come to in front of my desk to have a conversation, and we'll talk about something I did the day before. And this happened
yes,
plenty of
yeah,
times, right? So the directed
yeah.
conversation, I would say, is the most noticeable when it comes to signs you're
And
being gangsta.
yes. And it's something, sorry, it's something that they do constantly. Because, like I said, even here, when I was at the other, everywhere I've gone, they've done that. Like, even just today, like I said, I'm getting ready. There's a girl outside talking about, I need to hurry up and get ready. On, it's like, I don't even look, but I can hear because my windows are always open. Yeah, I like fresh air and whatnot. It's happened so many times, even times when I'm sleeping. Because, like I told you, there is times I'll be up all night until like 7, 11. I know it's not healthy, but for now, it is where it is. Till like 7 in the morning. And as I'm trying to lay my head down, they have constant banging. There's people coming outside having like the other day there was children. Mum, can I play right here? And I'm thinking, why do they want to play right here? Of all
Why here?
places, why do they want to? Yeah, go play over there. Go play in the park. There's literally a shop around the corner. Why do you want to play right outside here? But obviously, because they know I'm here, this is what they're doing. They're trying to get me into that mindset of constantly feeling. They want me to be exhausted. Even like
Yeah.
now it's not happening because I'm on the phone. I'm on doing this thing right now. Normally in the background, there's a constant beeping sound in this place here, and they always turn it on as soon as I wake up. As soon as I get
Yeah.
up, yeah, it's beeping, and it's to make me feel like I'm going crazy. Like they want me to be and feel like I'm losing my mind, basically. So that
Well,
so just like you were saying earlier, I can fall into the reality.
yeah, what I usually say in order to explain what is going on with you is this is
Yeah,
the camel that breaks the straw that breaks the camel's back type of situation that
yeah,
they're trying to create. So they
yeah,
keep adding tiny straws on you, just one at a time, and then eventually one of them is going to be too much, and they're trying to create this gotcha moment where you act out of character, you give in to reactive
yeah,
abuse, you lash out. They want you to crash out, really. That's what they want. They
yes,
want you to crash
yeah,
out so that they can
yeah,
point the finger at you, say you're the problem, get you in trouble,
yeah,
put a criminal record on you, get you arrested, get you into a psych ward, think anything like that. The point is
yes,
to discredit you because they are doing something nefarious, something evil to you, and your credibility has to go because if you speak up, they're done. If you are
yes,
believable, they're done, right?
yes.
So the whole goal is to constantly add straws,
Silencing.
add straws on
Yeah.
the camel's back. And when you say that the directed conversation thing happens every day, I will tell you in every and the chat will can confirm this. Every single time I come on live, and this is every time, there hasn't been a single time, including this one. Every single time I come online, there are always perps in the chat that will make reference to things I do when I'm home, to conversation I've had when I'm home. There are
Yes.
people.
Yes.
I don't
Yes.
know who.
Yes.
I can't remember his name,
It
but it's
happens.
Darth something that made a reference to something that I said when I was
Oh,
at home. So
do you
go
know?
on, go on.
Do you know what happened one time? You just reminded me, right? This is saying you have to keep reminding me because I've really been pushing it all the way back. Right. So basically, I can be honest with this. I don't keep knives in my place because obviously, when I moved to the studio thing, I didn't want to have a knife. Like I just didn't want to have it, and I don't need it because the knife I have is like it's a butter knife, but it's really sharp. It's a proper sharp one. The other day I was on live, right, TikTok live, and someone was like, "You're the only person in the UK that I know that doesn't have a knife." And I thought, when I'm downstairs now making my food, yeah, I'm cutting thinking, what Nate? Because obviously the place I'm at, the kitchen, is quite open and we kind of share it with another bunch of people over there. So I thought to myself, oh, these lot must be, trying to play games with me until I realized, oh, they're watching me. Like there's a
Yeah,
camera somewhere in the kitchen and they're watching me and they want me to know that we see that you don't have a knife. It's not even funny. But it's like, wow, like you don't really go to that. No, they're
yeah.
crazy. These people are actually
And
like
then
mentally not well.
100%. And in the narcissism world, we call that dog whistling. In the gang stalking world, we call it directed conversation. But what it is basically is this is covert attack. It's to let you know that you have no privacy. We're constantly watching
Mhm.
you. In the gang stalking world,
Mhm.
in the dog whistling world, it's basically someone is trying to insult you, but the way that they do it in both cases is only you can see this attack. If you talk about it to
Yes.
anybody else, they will either say
Yes.
coincidence, psychosis, schizophrenia, you
Yes.
need to get checked, stop worrying about it, things of that nature.
Yes.
But you and
Stop
I
thinking
both
about. You
know.
shouldn't talk about this. Yeah.
Exactly. But
Sorry.
you and I both know these things can't constantly happen over and over, almost on a daily, weekly basis.
Yes.
We get these things that happen to us, and you know, other people can't understand it because, much like
Yeah.
narcissistic abuse, when it comes to gang stalking, if you don't go through it, you won't understand it. You simply won't. Nothing in
Mhm.
you. This is not a believable experience. This is something that it just sounds crazy. And what they don't understand is, as we're going through it, much of us, the reason why we haven't spoken about it as soon as it happened to us is because we also thought it was crazy. But this is
Yes.
happening. This is simply the truth.
And just to add, that also it kind of links to, like, I know this is a completely different thing, but I did mention it earlier. It links to domestic violence. People can't seem to put their self in other people's place. Like they can't seem to understand why someone who's going through domestic violence can't leave the relationship. Why haven't they said it before? Why can't they go to friends and family? Why can't they do these things? Because it's something that is so surreal to you. Or is surreal the right word? It's something that is so unbelievable to you at the time, to the point where you just think to yourself, do you know what? I might be able to get over it, or maybe I'm overthinking it, or maybe if I
Maybe it
say
was
this,
my
people are
fault.
gonna, yeah, like you start going into all these different illusions and questions, and but that's what they want. So that's
Yeah.
why speaking about it is the best thing that can happen. And people like ourselves who do talk about it, they tend to find ways to punish us, just like the narcissist would. They find ways to
Absolutely.
punish us.
Absolutely, 100%. What you said is so important. And I think that one thing that people don't understand is the reason why people will go through this and not leave, these narcissistic or abusive relationships is because there are when dating a narcissist, when dealing with a narcissist, it's never all bad. If it was all bad, it
Yeah.
would be very easy to just leave, right? And when
Yes.
dealing with gang
Yes.
stalking, it's the same thing. These people that do direct conversation with you, they'll be super mean to you on one day, the next day they're super nice. And it causes confusion and you start to
Yes.
question yourself. And
Yes.
when it comes to
Mhm.
narcissistic abuse, it's a cycle. They start with the love bombing, where they say everything you want to hear. They're super generous. They're very,
Love bomb you.
like
Yes.
yeah, like a dream come true. You think you found your
Yeah.
soulmate when in fact you found your cellmate, right? And then they move on to the abuse part. And the abuse part starts when you start to call out their bad behavior, or when you don't accept to be mistreated, or you don't accept to basically have someone sort of get one off on you, or just take vent on you, take out their anger on you, or anything like that. Put
Yes.
the blame on you
Yes.
for their own behavior or their own mistakes,
Yes.
for their own
Yes.
actions. And then
Yes.
you you go through the value long enough, they take you to the discard. Discard can be cheating on you. Discard can be starting to talk to another person. Discard can be breaking up with you or taking a break. And then once they realize that the other person is also like is also calling them out on their behaviors, they go back to
Yes.
Hoover and they try to suck you back into the relationship, and
Yes.
then they start to put you into the love bombing phase again. And in narcissistically abusive relationships, the issue is that as victims of these relationships, we constantly seek to pacify our partners into going back to the love bombing phase because that was perfect. It's what we always dreamed of. It's what we could
Yes.
never find, someone who sees us and who loves
Yes.
us and who values us. And we think that this person is real when in fact
Yes.
this person was made up all along, right?
Yes. And
So
we overlook it a lot as well. That's one thing. So just adding, we just overlook, what they do to us, because we're not cut like that. We're cut from a different cloth, and we look at
yeah.
things like, okay, you know what? We should just show them love, or we can fix them, or we can make things better.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? When in reality, that's not the
I
case.
can
And
fix
another thing, and another thing is as well, is what we don't understand, which is unfortunate, which causes us to actually go through a lot of things that only you can feel, is people actually do a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? They talk a lot about us. They spread rumors. They
Gossip.
will go telling one person that, oh, this person's a liar and she's horrible. Then they'll go to another person and they keep building these
Gossip
buckets
networks.
of people. You understand? Of crabs. I don't have to explain it. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm coming
It's
from?
basically gossip
Yeah, like
networks,
that's
gossip webs.
yeah, to drag you down, to draw your energy down. Like you'll feel depleted by the end of it, and you're not
Yeah.
understanding why. Because it's just like the cheating thing. Do you understand? People cheat sometimes with I don't know what to say, but people cheat 9 times out of 10 with intention to completely deplete you. They want you to feel less of a person, even though it helps their self-esteem or whatever, their ego. It constantly it constantly breaks you down as a person. Do you understand? The more you hear someone's cheating on you, the more you hear someone's talking about you, the more the person is abusing you, is the more your soul becomes or turns into nothing. Do you know what I'm trying to
Depleted.
say? You become a shell of
Yeah.
who you are. Yeah, depleted, literally. Like it's sad.
Yeah.
It's
No, a
unfortunate.
hundred percent. And this is why I started my page in the first place. Is for people who are going through narcissistic abuse, is to let them
Yeah,
to let them know and get them to understand. It doesn't matter what someone has done for you in the past. It doesn't matter how someone has treated you in the past.
yeah,
Think of how they're
for
treating
real.
you now. Is this acceptable? Don't wait for them to
Yeah,
become nice again. Is the way that they're treating you now, as, as you
oh,
are having
100%.
a disagreement, as you are having a fight, is the way that they're treating you now acceptable? No, leave. Right.
Yeah,
So, with that being said, I do want to get to the next question, which is
yes, that's fine.
uh, how has this gang stalking experience changed you? Do you feel more fearful, more anxious, more stressed? Do you feel more empowered? Do you feel weaker? Do you feel all of these things at the same time? What would you say?
So at first, honestly, it took a toll on me because I didn't know what was going on. Like I said, I was homeless when it happened. I really, I don't want to say wanted to give up too much because I remember when I was younger and I didn't want to be here. But after a while, it just made me feel as if like life sucks because it's like I don't have any. Sorry, unless that was something I shouldn't have said. But life just felt like a lot, you know. But I just felt like at the end of the day, right? After a while, I started to realize who I was. And I think that's a lot of the thing. That's a lot of the times we forget like who we are. You have to remember who you are. The whole reason it happens to us is because we're obviously somebody. You know what I mean? We have something within us that a lot of people can't fathom. So due to that, I started remembering who I was, and I started actually talking. I started having a bit more faith, and then from there, I just started to pick myself back up. So even in times where, like, for example, there's days where I do cry because you need to get that out of your body. There is other days and there is other times where I feel empowered. Like today's one of those days I feel empowered. No matter how they've tried to stop me or they try to do small little things to try and make me feel like, oh, I shouldn't come on live today. I should stay in my bed. I should stay by myself. I just get up and I stay motivated and I stay in my higher level consciousness, remembering that at some point in life, I will be able to elevate. But it only keeps you in a shell of yourself when you choose to allow the energy to completely diminish who you are.
Yeah.
Because they
Yeah.
can't tell you who you are. You have to know within who you are. And if you don't know who you are within, then you lose out all the time. So
A
I feel
hundred
good. I
percent.
feel confident within myself. Yeah, I do feel
Good.
confident in myself. And yeah, there's always days. It doesn't make you any less of a person just because, oh, some days, it's got to you. It will get to you because, especially if you're like me, who's dealing with it by themselves. I mean, come on now. I have to rely on myself. I have to rely on, the Most High. If it's not that, then where else am I gonna express my emotions? You know what I mean? So you still should feel proud of yourself that you've been able to overcome all what they put you through. Bearing in mind, they work in a team. It's not just one. It's a bunch, and you're still able to stand and feel strong and be able to look at yourself every day and say, I am her or I am him. Like, come on now, guys. You know what I mean? So I'm proud of myself and I am and I'm happy and I'm content. And I want more for myself, but we'll get there eventually. So
100%. Well, this
yeah.
that was a fantastic answer. I thank you so much for sharing that. I
Thank
do
you.
think it's important to remind people, and this is the message I try to get out is these people when they do their tactics, always remember you are one against a whole entire team, right? Think of how
Mhm.
powerful you are and how
Mhm.
powerful they see you as, though they may not admit it. how powerful they see you as, where they need to organize in groups to take you down. They feel like they can't do it
Yeah.
alone, right? And the other thing that I say is these people will try to really, the whole entire goal of gang stalking, right? Of course, is to unalive. But
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
the whole entire goal is also to get you to join their team against yourself, right? So they will shame you, they will try to impose guilt on you, they will cause situations in your life and then shame you for the situation.
Ooh.
And I always say, never forget, never allow yourself to forget for a second. I don't care if you're homeless, I don't care if you've got issues going on in your life, you're in debt, you lost your friends, you lost your family. Never allow yourself to forget it is not through your own doing. They did this to you. The only
Yeah.
people that should be carrying any shame is them. And when it comes to narcissism, the whole point of
Yeah.
narcissism, it's a shame-based, it's a shame-based defense mechanism. The whole goal is to
Yeah.
take the shame that they should feel and put it on someone else. The blame
Yeah.
shifting, right? So
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
important to always remind yourself, no matter what your situation is, whether it be, great, whether things are looking grim, whether you're feeling down, you're feeling defeated, always remember all of these things are caused by them, and only they should carry shame for what they're doing to you. I don't care what you did. I don't care what they have on you, through spying on you. I don't care if, for myself, a lot of my family members have turned on me because of some gossip that I participated in it. Now, do I feel guilty about some of the gossip that I've done on them? Yes. Do I feel I deserve
Yeah.
this? I deserve being the experience of being
No.
gangsta for gossiping about family members, something that almost everyone has done at some point in their
Yeah.
lives. Absolutely not. But not only that, I feel that you could be guilty of the worst crime in history. You still don't
Yeah.
deserve gang stalking. And
Yeah.
a quote,
Exactly.
to sort of move the subject a bit, a quote that I read today regarding gang stalking. I'm paraphrasing it, but this system is recruiting the useful idiots of our society. And I don't say useful idiots as an insult to them,
Yes.
right? But more
NPCs.
as the NPCs. But I don't mean it as an insult, though it is an insult.
Yeah.
It's an insult, and I'm realizing I'm turning off certain people who are listening who might be perps. But really, the message I want to say is the system is using useful idiots in the sense of you are unaware. You're simply unaware. It's not a thing where I think you're an idiot, because I don't think most of the people who
Yeah.
participate in this are idiots. I simply think you're unaware, but they're using you to create this sort of open prison system that targets us. What you're not realizing is you're
Yeah.
next. You are next. You're doing this because they have you convinced that the targets, the actual targeted individuals, are bad people that need, and vigilantism is needed to take these people out.
Yes.
But the truth is, you're creating a system that will imprison all of us, including you. The only difference, and
Yes.
this is
Literally.
the only difference between me and you, me the target individual, you the perp, you the gang stalker. The only difference is that when this system starts targeting you, you'll deserve it. You will actually deserve what is
Yes.
being done to you because you
And
participated in that.
yeah.
And when they came to you and offered you money, they offered you the carrot or the stick, they threats, whatever it might be, to enact this system, to accept this system, to vote through your actions for the system, you raised your hand and you said, "Yep, me." Right? So when you spit in the air and it falls in your face, you will have deserved it.
But listen, and at the same time, I literally said this today because I'll be honest with you, I'm one of those people. I talk to myself. Like it's good to talk to yourself, right? So I just see it as, can you hear me? Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry, because your
Yes.
thing was lagging on my side. Cool. Yeah, I literally said it to myself today as well. They don't realize like there's the government, then there's those people. Then I guess if those people see us underneath, then that's what you see it as. But do you realize that you're getting paid to do the government's dirty work? Do you know how Do you know how small-minded you have to be? How lower, how you're in your lower level consciousness, yeah, and you're actually trying to send attacks to somebody that's actually in the higher level consciousness to make yourself feel better. And to me, it's like it doesn't make sense because you're doing the government's dirty work whilst being paid pennies. If really and truly for what you've done, for all of this thing that you've created, this little rubbish here, right? I shouldn't say rubbish. Sorry if I'm offending anyone with my terminology, but with all this baggage here that you've created, you should be where the government is. Why are you not there? Why are you not there? You're doing the bare minimum, right? For the government, right? You're doing the bare minimum, right? For the government, but you're still in the same predicament. Even worse,
Yeah,
you're in some of these people are in worse predicaments than us because they don't realize
absolutely.
it. As much as you keep trying to trigger us and trying to do, we're still gonna get money. You know, when I was homeless, I don't really like to say homeless, but if I had to say what I needed to say, then I say it. But I was always able to sleep somewhere, always. And their aim when I left the other place was to have me on the street. I was never on the street, thanks to the most. I was never on the street, but they wanted me to be on the street. They wanted me to be in a predicament where I had to beg, and even then, if I had to beg, they wouldn't have done anything. Do you know what I'm trying to say? But I was never on the street. So it's like, as much as they try to make us have a worse life, I guarantee you when they go home at night, this is why there's a lot of people that eventually come out and they tell us that this is what they had to do. This is how people are aware now of the certain tactics. Like there's someone who said the other day, right, that there was like 12 of them gang stalking one person. Why do you think they come out and eventually have to snitch on that group? Because for one, you got kicked out. Yeah, so now it's starting to happen. Maybe sometimes you have to be very careful with certain people because certain people have a heart of gold. Certain people's intention is never to do you wrong, yet somehow you find it okay to bully one person without even questioning what they've done.
Mhm.
Yeah, and what happens in life is karma kicks you down because karma is a real thing. People don't believe in karma, but karma is a real thing. And if you constantly do bad to people, especially the wrong person, just know that one day it's going to be you next, just like you said it will. So we have to learn to
Absolutely.
move and can I just say one last thing? Yeah, I think a lot of
Sure.
the times when we're going through this thing, it's so easy to turn to allow your heart to become black and become molded and become aggressive and angry. I feel like throughout this whole experience, it's actually taught me how to calm myself down, how to regulate my emotions, and how to become stable in my mindset and not allow these people to tarnish who I am. Because one thing my dad taught me, my late father, which I'm so grateful for, right, is to have love in your heart. And I'm telling you right now, by having love, this is why they want you to fight against one another, whether you're black, blue, or purple, whatever, right? Listen, having love in your heart, having love within is the thing that conquers fear. Because I wouldn't even say evil or hate. I would just say fear. Because that's why they're doing it. They fear what's gonna happen to them. Oh, if I don't do this, then maybe I'm gonna be next, even though you're still gonna be next. But if you have love in your heart for people, even when they're hurting you the most, I promise you guys, your life will be so good. Just have love in it and believe that no matter what you go through, everything is gonna be okay. You get it? Because
Amen.
they can't,
Amen.
they're not gonna win. They're not gonna win. They won't. They won't. You can't fight
Absolutely.
anger with anger. Two rights don't make a
Absolutely.
two wrongs
This
don't make a right.
100%. This actually brings me to something that happened to me. I was driving down the highway a couple of days ago, and there was a car that said "In God We Trust," but instead of saying "In God We Trust," it said "In Go We Trust." And I just thought, is this person like mocking God or something? What's going on? And then on the side of his car, I saw it said Peter chapter 3 verse 8. So I figured, oh no, he's missing a letter out of his sticker on his car, right? But then I asked myself, what
Sorry.
is, what is Peter chapter 3 verse 8? And I was very intrigued because my Peter is my last name. And so
Mm.
I'm asking Google, and can you read to me Peter chapter 3 verse 8? And it starts reading, and basically what it was saying is, do not respond to evil with evil. God wants you to be childlike. God wants you to retain your innocence. If someone curses you, if someone lies on you, respond to them with a blessing. Uh, be hive-minded, like have empathy for your
Yes.
neighbor. If someone does you
Yes.
wrong, give them give them the grace of forgiveness. And when
Yes.
I was younger, I was very religious when I was younger, and then I became an atheist for a long time. And then when I met my wife, I gained my belief back, right? Because I just thought this is an angel. How can a person with such a pure heart even be? When I met her, and it got me to believe in God again. And
Yes.
when I thought of this chapter 3, verse 8 of Peter, what it tells me, and not only what it tells me for the situation, but for the entire world, is that you know if we respond to evil with evil, our society becomes a sort of goes into a race to the bottom where everyone is just trying to get one over the other. And really, when I think about the Bible itself that says, vengeance is mine, says the Lord, do not take
Hmm.
vengeance upon yourself, do not enact justice upon others, it is not yours to do. When I think of these things, right, the Bible doesn't tell you this because I'll forgive others, because if you don't forgive others, you won't be forgiven by God, and do it for a selfish reason. The reason why the Bible is so adamant about forgiveness, forgiving your fellow man, even those who would hurt you, even those who would do unto you evil, right? The reason why the Bible
Yes.
and
Yes.
the Quran is so adamant on forgiveness is because they know through your attitude of unforgiving, your unforgiving attitude, this is where the devil enters you. This is where the devil enters your
Yes.
society and
Yes.
breaks down people. This is where the spirit of
Yes.
Leviathan enters your groups, enters your family, enters your friend groups, enters your workplaces, and starts to
Yes.
dismantle people. And a lot of people who are participating in gang stalking, who are perps, will participate because they have been sold a story of this person is evil, this person has done evil, this
Yeah.
person is a bad person, not understanding that many of the things that you have been told about the person that you are perpetrating this hateful crime on, many of these things have been created. For example, they will tell you, for example, this person is a has participated in domestic abuse, for example, right? And
Yeah.
we need justice needs to be brought to this person. Uh, just without your help, there will be no justice brought on this person, right? And they think,
Yeah.
well, this person is a bad person. I'm going to do what I have to do to get this person in trouble, to get this person in trouble with the law, right? But what they don't realize is that many of the people who have done bad things in their lives that are being targeted, they've done it because of the targeting, not before the targeting. They weren't bad people. They have been brought to their
Yeah.
last sort of the last straw, right? And they lashed out. They gave in to reactive abuse. They gave in to the anger, to their wrath, or they participated in crimes such as uh, theft or things of that nature because their financial situation is in shambles, and they need to in order to survive. And now you're judging them for the actions that they've done by being put in this program in the first place, and you're furthering the torture of a person who
Yeah.
was originally innocent.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Sorry, you were
Yeah,
kind
so
of
it's
like cutting in and out just a little bit at the end, towards the end. It's really
oh, I'm sorry. I'm
energy is
sorry about
high.
that.
Energy is high. You're because you were hitting on
Yeah,
main points. Your energy was so high. So yeah.
a
But
hundred
no, can you
percent, a
just
hundred
repeat
percent.
the last part again? Can you just repeat the last
Yeah,
part if
it's
that's
just
okay?
it's just without realizing the people who are participating in this uh, organized harassment effort, they are
Yeah.
targeting people who have done nothing wrong, who are completely innocent
Yes.
of wrongdoings very often, but through this program have turned into people that to a different person and have done things like
Yes.
commit crimes, theft, have given into
Yes.
wrath, have
Exactly.
have
Yeah.
let the evil
And
spirits enter them and have given
yeah.
into them and have been caught doing it because they're being spied on. And now you're judging them for
And
these actions that they
yeah.
partook in because of the program
And
in the first place. And it's sort of like a
yeah.
sand. What's the word I'm looking for? Like stop and move on. You know how you get like you get caught in a sand trap. What's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah. But do you know what? I don't know the word you're looking for, but can I just add to that as well? I just want to say RIP to all those people that actually passed away, because a lot of the time it's spiritual warfare, I would say. I know, you know, what we said before, but I just want to say that for me would be one of the things, one of the main things. It's a lot of warfare that goes on in their life and they end up taking themselves out of it. Just like you said, whether it's them committing crimes or doing certain things, they unintentionally don't realize the value of their life, and then they do things thinking that this is the only way out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because of all these
yeah,
organized crimes, because of what people
yeah,
have put them through. Because at first I didn't understand why people just take themselves out of things. I didn't get what would lead them to that point, but it came across to me the last couple of days. That's one of the reasons. It's
yeah.
unfortunate
And
because of
not
all
only
of this
that,
warfare that's been taking place. Yeah,
yeah, and not only that, but there are a lot of people who have identified themselves as targeted individuals that said they were going through gang stalking, who are currently in court for enacting mass violence on people. There are people who have
yes,
passed away before they enacted mass violence on people. And I think
yes,
that another aspect of it that perps don't understand is you're not just going after my life or the lives of targeted individuals. You are putting yourself at risk at the behest of the government for what? For gift cards? It seems like, a very
wait, I didn't hear that.
strange
Sorry.
thing. Like, hold on, you're lagging as well. Just one second. I just want to give it a second. Uh, you're still lagging. Yeah, someone in the chat is saying that they're freezing it on purpose. Now, what I was saying basically is that a lot of a lot of perps, a lot of the people who are participating in this that are going after targeted individuals, what they don't understand is that there are many targeted individuals who have committed acts of mass violence on people, that have committed,
Yeah,
mass unalivings or even just unalivings. Some of them are in court right now. Some of them are in prison. Some of them have passed away because they either unalived themselves or were unalived by the police during
yes,
the event. But these are people who are targeted individuals who are self-proclaimed. They say, I am a victim of gang stalking. I am a targeted individual. Here is what they did to me. And they describe everything that we describe, right? And they have done mass violence on people. And the perps who are participating in this, the gang stalkers who are participating in this, often don't understand you're not just putting my life at risk. You're not just messing with my life or the lives of targeted individuals. You're putting your life at risk. For what? For the government? For gift cards?
yes, exactly, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, I get what you're
it
saying. Yeah,
seems
for little
silly.
chump change,
Yeah,
like it doesn't make sense. Money that's not gonna really change your life. Like it's like a quick fix. They're addicted to it.
yeah,
That's all it seems like it is. It's like gambling or something. Like it's a quick fix for them. It's like, okay, well, if I do this, I can make 250 or 2,000 or whatever you make. But it's like all of that for money. But a lot of people
yeah,
don't realize in this life that we yeah, sorry, go on. I'll let you.
yeah. No, it's just, you're putting your life at risk for
Yeah,
close to nothing, and if
yeah.
everyone just read the Bible and understood. I'm sorry, I have to change my headsets. My battery is going out. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
And I'll be right with
No,
you.
that's fine.
Just
Yeah, the
just a
conversation is
moment.
too high. Too high.
What?
This is what
I'm so
happens.
sorry. I'm so
I'm so
sorry.
used to it. No, it's fine. Don't worry. No,
Can you
don't
hear me?
worry. It's cool. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah,
Hold
I'm
on.
telling
I
you right
I
now, the
can't hear you in my
conversation is
headset.
so high.
Just a second.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. It's just laggy a little bit, but that's fine. I
You
won't.
know what? I'm just gonna remove the Bluetooth and see if that works. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. Oh, can you hear me? Yeah, can you hear me now?
I can, but it's not great. Sorry. I'm
Oh
so
wait,
sorry.
I wonder
Just
if
just
it's
a second.
because.
Just a second.
Oh, is it your
I'll see
headphones?
if I
Okay, because I thought it was mine.
I'll see if I
I
can
thought it was my one.
okay.
Let me put mine back here.
Let's see. Let's see. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So
Can you
yeah,
hear me?
this is basically
Yeah.
what I what I think is very important, to understand for the people who participate in this is that you are not just targeting individuals. You're putting your life at risk because a lot of the people who participated in this gang stalking experience, they don't understand to what extent this, the torture of these individuals is going. They think, oh, I'm just following him, or I'm just contacting his workplace to spread rumors. But you don't understand all of the people who have participated in it. They don't give you the whole story. And then what happens is the last straw moment may happen to a targeted individual, and he decides to take all of his anger out on you. And the people that sent you on this fool's mission, right? The people that are
Yeah.
using you like cannon fodder and sending you at someone, when something happens to you, they're not gonna fess up and say, "Oh, this is our fault. This is a part of our targeted individual program or our gang stalking program. We were targeting this person, and this person did violence upon this other person because we sent them at this person." They're not going to say anything. No one is going to fess up. No one is going to have your back.
Do you know?
And even if you were not to be taken out, you were to be hurt and put in the hospital, they're not going to pay your hospital bills. They're not going to take care of your children while you're incapacitated.
Do
The
you,
only thing that will happen is they will cut ties with you. So I always say, if you trust the government, if you believe the government, what the government tells you, it's because you don't know history. I'm not going to say you are an idiot, but you are what is considered by most of us a useful idiot. The government lies to you. They're not above lying to you. We've seen it lately in the news. Well, it's not in the news, but we've seen it online. All the things that they've been aware for years, for a decade, over a decade, for 2 decades, that is just coming out. They've lied to us about all of this, right? So
yeah.
I simply put it out there for the perps who may be participating in this and are unaware of what this actually is. You are cannon fodder. You are not being told the truth. You think you're going after an evil person, and under the guise of community safety, right? But really what you're doing is you're hurting your fellow man, and you're damning your own soul for gift cards. Wake
But
up.
can I just say something on the other, like on the other side of that? To be fair, there is like the family I agree with. I thought they cared, but they don't. There's a lot of them that don't have empathy within them. So they will do this purposely to gain your energy. So I think for me, the motivation I get from it is try to live my life in the most healthiest way and not stress too much, because it's not a nice feeling to know that, okay, yeah, because sometimes we can't help ourselves but to worry or but to get stressed out. There's people like that, and I feel like for me, it's I always stay motivated by remembering that I have to stay as healthy as possible, because I don't ever want them to be able to feel accomplished from what they've done. I want them to be able to get what they deserve in due time. And another thing I wanted to add, a lot of people might not care right now, but we should care. This is the physical we live in. You need to worry about the spiritual. And I'm sorry, but I had to say it. We're too focused on the physical. Like, being focused on the physical will completely deplete your energy. It will. It will make you feel as if you're not good enough. You need to constantly have money, constantly have cars, constantly have this. It doesn't matter. They want us to worry about things that are not important to keep us in a place that
The rat
leads to
race.
nothing. And
Yeah.
yeah, and whether it's people gang stalking us or whether it's you yourself, trust me, like even days where like I don't have enough funds at the time, it doesn't matter, because realistically, let me tell you something as well. Food and water and things like that, we have to learn to survive without it. We're gonna come to a point in life where it's gonna become scarcity, or it's gonna become hard to attain. If you haven't gathered all of this stuff that we're going through right now is basically like military. I don't know if that's the right terminology to use, but it's like
Yeah.
we're being prepared before we need to be prepared. Like we have to learn to use this as motivation and feel grateful. I know it sounds so like degrading, like how can I feel grateful for being gang stalked? But we have to be grateful at the same time that they're doing this, because it's like at least our life is worth it. They see our life as worth it. They see our life as great. Do you understand? Their life is clearly not that, because for their life, for them to be focusing so much on us, I mean, what does that say about them? It says a lot, doesn't
That,
it? So we
that's a
have to be
fact.
grateful. Do you know what I mean?
That,
Yeah.
that's a fact. That's a fact. Um, I believe I had one last question. This is an important question. This
Yeah.
comes from the chat. Someone said to me yesterday that they wanted me to ask this to you when I was talking about this interview, but they're asking, have these experience now? Obviously, I know the answer to these questions, but tell me how it has
Yeah.
affected now. Have these experiences affected your relationship with family and friends, and how do people around you respond when you share your experience?
So for me, unfortunately, I'm adopted, like I was saying prior. I don't have any support at all. So I'm literally dealing with life on my own. I've been in connection with my adopted family, but I've come to find out as well they're also in the same thing. So, and a lot of times, if you are a star seed, I saw someone say something about star seed and say, yeah, this is the stuff we get placed in families for us to realize. We get placed in families for us to realize what's going on and for us to try change people's perspective and mindset. But I would say when it comes to friends and stuff like that, um, to be fair, it's just made me realize that people are not really supportive and they're not who they say they are. And yeah, it's not really something that I can really talk on because I choose purposely to keep myself to myself because I've realized over time people are fake and people just, even for example, if I go on TikTok, people want to leech off me. They just want to come on live to leech off me. People haven't messaged me. When I was homeless, nobody messaged me, not one person. No one cared to check to see if I was living, to see if I was breathing, none of it. So I keep myself to myself and I don't allow people's influence to bother me. But if it's to do with recent like people like on TikTok, I would say personally I've had so much support from so much genuine people. It kind of does make people when like random people look at your page, it kind of does make them question your sanity. But like we were saying, who cares? The people that go through it,
Yeah.
those are the people that matter. We can all come to an agreement and understand that we're survivors. You understand? So,
Mhm.
that's all I can say really to that.
Great, great. Well, I have to say again, before we end this, I have to say I commend you for your courage. I commend you for your bravery in speaking up. I think
Thank you.
that this is an experience that is very isolating, especially in your situation where you don't have, actually have family. It can be
Yeah.
very much devastating to lose your friends, to have people sort of think that you are losing it, to see them distance themselves from you, to end up in situations where perhaps you're not living in the street, but you don't have a home, which is basically what being homeless means. And I think that it takes a lot of courage to then decide I'm going to dig deeper and tell the truth. And I believe that one thing that really gave me the
Mm,
courage of speaking up is truth matters. The truth matters. You
yes.
know, living in a lie is unhealthy, and being silent in this experience is much worse than having people believe that you are crazy. Because even if you believe I'm
Yes.
crazy, this is not something I can control. If I was going through
Yeah,
psychosis, this is not
exactly.
something I can control. If I was going through um, schizophrenia, this is not something I can
Yes.
control. However,
Yeah.
when all of us speak up about our experience, eventually people around, perhaps not the mainstream media, perhaps not our politicians, but the people around will start to realize, hey, something is going on. This needs to be
Yes.
investigated. There are too many people
Yes.
talking about this, which is why I
Yes.
urge everyone, if you are going through gang
Yes.
stalking, do not allow yourself to go through it in silence. And I try to get people to talk about it. Don't just listen to
Yes.
me and praise me and
Yes.
say, thank you for
Yes.
doing this. I want you to speak up. And when I realized that
Yes.
this is this is too difficult for a lot of people, I said, you know what? Give me your hand. Give me your hand. Let's
Oh.
walk down. Tell me your
Yeah.
story. We're gonna
Hmm.
do this because sometimes even for myself, for myself when it comes to experiences that I don't want to do alone, it's dumb, but I don't like cleaning my place alone. So whenever, for example,
Yeah.
my wife is like, this needs to be cleaned, I'm like, no problem. Well, let's do it together. But
Do
if
it
I have to do
together.
it on my
Yeah. Why
own,
not?
yeah. And if we do it together, it'll be done much faster. We can do it in community.
Yes.
We'll talk.
Teamwork.
It becomes a fun experience for us. But if I have to do it on my
Exactly.
own, I'm dreading every second that I'm preparing to do it. I don't want to. I don't
Yes.
feel like it, right?
Yes.
But I think
Yes.
it's the same thing for example, for the experience of sharing your story when it comes to being gang stalked, it feels scary to people. It feels like too much. It's like, I personally, the way that I view it is explaining gang stalking. I have so many videos about it because I know this is the equivalent of eating an elephant. And how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time,
Exactly.
right? Make a video, make another one. If you feel like you forgot to say something in the last one, make another one. If you feel like
Yes.
you didn't do it right, make another video saying the same thing, but do it right this time. But speak up,
Yes.
say something. So I
Yes.
very much appreciate you
Yes.
you sharing this experience with me, sharing your experience with me. I would very much enjoy doing more interviews with you, getting more of your story as well.
Yes.
Again,
Yes.
you have all of my admiration. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
May God bless you, Laura.
Thank you so much, Kevin, as well. I just want to say thank you for allowing me to come onto your channel. I feel like since the whole thing has happened, I didn't feel like a sense of, I didn't feel like I had anywhere to belong. It was only when I made the video I started to realize it. But then even after a while, it kind of made me feel like I needed to just stop talking about it because I didn't want to center it around my whole entire life. But do you know what? I already had a little vision that something was going to happen. And when you reached out to me the other day, I was so grateful because at first I thought, let me double check. But at the same time, when I watched the videos, because sometimes you can get these people that pretend to be interested and they're not.
100%.
But when I watched the videos, I realized that you really care about bringing people's story to light, and I can see where this is going. And by God's grace, yeah, this channel will blow up because you are not just doing it for yourself; you're doing it for other people to see that there's something out there that is constantly fighting us, that we need to all work together, like you said, teamwork, and make sure that every single person that's gone through it tells their story. Because like you said, it's hard sometimes. You feel as if, what's the point? People are not going to hear me, people don't care about me. But I feel like your platform is allowing people to feel comfortable. We can work together, we can talk about things that a lot of people seem to misunderstand. You know what I mean? So I just want to big you up. I want to thank you for everything you've done so far, and I pray and hope that everything for you works out in the way that God has that God has authorized it
Intend.
to be. I'm so sorry. My mind is like, do you know what I mean? But I want to thank you so much. I
It's
appreciate you.
fine.
I appreciate you a
Thank you
lot.
so much. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so
And
much,
the
Kevin.
last thing I want to say is it's very important. Evil works and organizes in the shadows, and we must shine
Yes,
the light of truth upon them. It's the only way. It's the only thing that will work,
yes.
right? So again, thank you very much, Laura.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank
God
you.
bless. God bless.
You too. Bye.